introductions needed here. I've got running backs coach Tony Alford. I'm going to go ahead and open up the questioning with Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan?
Hi, Tony. Thanks for spending some time with us here.
Hi, Brendan.
Maybe we could start by, just kind of trying to get your opinion on the overall competitiveness of the room right now. It's certainly a different room than it was even 2 years ago, but certainly last year too. Just the idea of how things are, the camaraderie of the room, the way the young guys are fitting in, and what you're trying to accomplish with that this spring.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's a great room. The older guys are really taking to the young guys to help them out and teach them the ropes and how we do things here at Ohio State. And, great group of kids. I mean, phenomenal, unselfish. They all come from great homes. And probably, as we like to say, raised the right way, things of that nature. But really good guys and highly competitive guys, and all of them are hungry to compete. But at the same time, they champion each other's efforts. They're guys in the first couple of days of practice that will sit down and explain, especially the older guys, the young guys explain, hey, here's how we do this drill, or look at it this way, or look at the play this way, or these certain techniques that we're doing and teaching. So very unselfish, highly competitive, as I said, but very unselfish room.
Next up, we will go with Stephen Means with Cleveland.com. Stephen?
Tony, 2 of the last 3 years, you guys have tried, the two-back system, and it hasn't always necessarily produced the best results. How important is it maybe for, I don't know, usually a guy starts as soon as the guy just kind of takes over as the bell cows when you see him kind of go crazy, whether it's JK or last year with Trey. How important maybe is it between now and fall camp for maybe one guy to kind of emerge as that bell cow, or, is that two-back system something you still want to explore?
Well, I say this all the time, and I said it last year, I said it 2 years ago, I said it 3 years ago, I've said it in my entire career, and I say it again, that we're going to do whatever we need to do to win games, Steve. And, when some people might use, well, that's, using the two-back system or thing hasn't worked. At the end of the day, we're here to win games. And we say it hasn't worked, well, we won a lot of games around here. And we haven't won the big one like we want to in the past 2 years. Now, is that attributed because we played two backs or one back? That's debatable. But we're going to do whatever we need to do to win games. And if it's one guy and the bell cows, we like to say, then it shall be. If it's not, then it's not. But I think right now the biggest thing for us is to continue to grow as a football team, continue to grow as a unit, and obviously continue to grow individually with those players and be the best version of themselves and the best players they can be. And if that means that they emerge, one of them or two of them emerge and kind of separate themselves from the pack, then that shall happen. And then in some regards, that may happen. But time will tell. Right now, we're just trying to get better every day and go from there.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, Joey Kaufman with the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Tony, obviously Masters is the incumbent at running back, but you have a lot of options and a lot of depth in the running back room this year. So I'm wondering, how open do you see the competition for carries being, even with somebody like Master back?
Well, he is. Right now, if we start a game tomorrow, he would be. He's an incumbent starter. He's played the most and had the most reps of anybody in the room. But there's other really good players here too. And I'm really anxious to watch to watch Mayan Williams. He's a guy that, he had smattering of carries, a very small sample size, but with what he did have, he was very successful in those opportunities. And so as he's continuing to grow into the program and in this offense, Marcus Crowley's coming back. Steele's had his moments. Now you got two young guys. So guys are going to get their opportunities. And they're going to get their opportunities. They're going to get the reps this spring. And, like we say in all positions here, that you get what you earn. And if those opportunities are deserved and earned, then they'll be there for them.
Next up, Spencer Holbrook with Letterman Row. Spencer.
Tony, a few years ago, JK started as a freshman and really made an impact. Do you kind of use where he was at this point in his career as like a litmus test to see how like Trey and Evan could potentially contribute as a freshman? Do you ever rely on like the past experience of playing a freshman to see where those guys are in their path?
Well, I think that, I'd be lying if I said that you don't look at the past, to kind of set a gauge for where some things may go. I think we all do that in every walk of life. We do that in raising your own children. look at the past and maybe past experience to say, well, what could potentially be, but no, but then at the end of the day, each situation, you know, is its own situation in and of itself. And to try to put pressure on a young guy to say, well, JK did this back when a freshman, so you have to be able to do this. That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody. And I think that, you know, we'll go through. We've only been practicing for 2 days. I think these young guys are very explosive football players. You can tell they've got some twitch and some burst in them. We'll just continue to work with them and see where this thing goes.
Next up, we'll go with Doug Lesmerises with Cleveland.com. Doug?
Hey, Tony, you have six guys in that room that look like they all certainly can play. You can't play 6 running backs. How will you handle this? Are there some conversations that by this end of spring you may have with some guys just to have honest talk about the depth chart? Because we know sometimes it's hard to play 6 running backs here. Maybe there are guys here who would have a chance to play somewhere else if they chose that.
Well, first of all, it is play 6 guys in a game. I've never done that. You know, I think maybe some other places have. I haven't. However, with that all being said, you know, one of the things you asked is about having honest conversations with the guys at the end of spring. And Doug, I would say to that point, absolutely. One of the things that I would like to think our program prides itself in, and me in particular, is I will have honest conversations with my players. And sometimes honest conversations are hard conversations. But at the same time, they're needed. And so when it comes time to have those conversations, then we'll have them. Right now it's not, you know, but when it's time to have those, we will. And at the end of the day, I keep going back to this. I'll always go back to this. Is our jobs are here is to develop our players and then to win football games. And the guys that prove that they can play winning football on a consistent basis and be at their best on a consistent basis, so be the guys that are going to play. And we'll have those conversations when they need to be had.
Thanks, Tony.
Next up, we'll go with Steve Hellwagon, 24/7 Sports. Steve?
Hey, Coach, I want to ask about Master. It seemed like he may have been a little tentative early in the season, but the Indiana game seemed like he really hit his stride and broke a big one there. And how important was that for him and maybe his development, just what you saw out of him, and then for this spring, what you want to see him improve on and take his game to another level?
Yeah, I think it was good for him. It was good for everybody. You know, to see that he could break a long one and sustain that. So that was good. You know, and then I think moving forward, it's just, you know, his ability to make plays in space. When I say in space, when we do get it cracked to the second or third level, you know, I think that what Coach Stud has done with our offensive line and then the scheme and with that is, I think we have a chance to be elite there, and which is going to provide opportunities for the backs to get into the second or third level defenses. And then when we get back there, now we have to go to work. We have to be able to do things at that level, the defense, and make guys miss, and you know, be able to make big plays and generate big play opportunities for ourselves. And that's going to be the biggest thing, is that when we get out there, that can we go make those plays? Yeah, and those are things I'd like to see, not just Master, but all of us be able to work on as we move through the spring.
Yeah, thanks.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch. Bill?
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Bill.
I thought it was interesting when we talked to Travion and Evan. Travion said he can't wait to get hit tomorrow, and Evan's like, I can't wait to not get hit because he's going to score touchdowns. Can you kind of just describe what has stood out about each of those guys, and didn't that surprise you, those answers?
Well, they haven't played football in a long time. You know, you think about the last time those guys played, they were juniors in high school. And so I think that we've got to, I won't say temper, that's probably not the right word, but understand that they haven't played with 22 guys on the field, you know, in a long time. And it's funny hearing him say, I can't wait to get hit. Well, don't worry, buddy, it's coming. It'll be upon you here soon. But no, the thing that's probably impressed me the most is just their eagerness to learn. You know, they're really hungry to learn and to try to take it all in. They're both extremely, extremely coachable kids. they're always on a quest of give me more, give me more. When you start coaching, you start correcting, they don't take it personal. It's not a personal attack at them. They want to know, hey, what can I do better here? These kids, it's funny. I got a FaceTime call on a Sunday. This was weeks ago, mind you. It was on a Sunday. I get a FaceTime call about 8 at night. And these two they have somehow figured out how to get into the facility on a Sunday night, and they're working on pass protection. And they're having, one of the other receivers was with them holding up a camera and having me coach them through some drill stuff and pass protection drill stuff on a Sunday night. And, I think it was late January, early February. So they're just hungry. They're hungry to learn, and they're great kids, and they're coachable, and they want to be, they're good teammates. And everybody wanted to pit them against one another. That's the thing. A lot of people try to pit each player against another player, and they're just not their roommates. But then, you talk about our room. These kids, they want to help each other become better. And so they help. So it's not a deal where they're pitting one skills versus the next and kind of looking over the shoulder. We don't have that type of room, that type of environment. And these kids fit right in, and I'm thrilled. Thrilled where they're at. So I'm thrilled with the development that they've shown thus far. And now we got to get better. We got to get better in a hurry. But I'm very pleased with where they're at this juncture.
Who's a better cook? They're competitive.
Better cook? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Evan says he's the best, so I'm. Something though. They're more than welcome to come to my house, and I'm more than willing to eat and see who can do what.
Next up, we'll go to Tony Girdman, Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Hey, Tony, I want to ask about Marcus Crowley, who finally got to get back last year late. How close is he to returning to his freshman form and then being even better than that? He said it took a little while he's cutting better now than he was last year. But how was that for him last year? What did you see from him, and what are you seeing from him now?
Well, I think last year, he's a little frustrated as we went through the year and, wasn't playing much, and as he was coming back from injury, and he had some setbacks and things like that. But, quick story is we're playing the Alabama game, and, he gets tackled he has a couple carries and things happen. He gets tackled, comes and standing on the sideline. And he looks up and he says, hey, he goes, man, I apologize. This is the middle of the game. I said, apologize, what are you talking about? He goes, you've been saying I wasn't ready. And he goes, I'm not. He goes, you're right. And it took him playing, kind of getting knocked off balance because he wasn't strong enough and things like that, where he upon himself, he was like, yeah, I see it. You're right. And sometimes, again, those are hard conversations, but they're real conversations, right? And but now he is. I think he's getting better. He's really has done a good job of committing himself, or trying to commit himself to getting stronger and just more girth and strength, so he doesn't get knocked off his feet as easily. Has changed direction. But Mark's a competitive kid, and he's had a really good off season. He's had a really good off season. So I'm anxious to see where this continues to go. He's gaining the weight. He's getting the weight on that we want him to have. Now is he going to be able to hold it and sustain the weight as we want him to do? But he's had a really good focus. He's had a really good focus this past couple months during the off season. We move into the spring, and I'm really excited to see what he does, because Marcus got a lot of talent.
Next up, we'll go Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, hold on, Nathan. Hold on. Tim, who are you waving to?
I'm just trying to get Jerry's attention.
Oh, I got you.
I'm back on mute now.
All right, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm just curious. A year ago at this time, you were down to one scholarship running back after Master got hurt, and then, as other people said earlier, now you've got 6. How, as a coach or as a motivator, how do you sort of cultivate that in this spring and in the off season to try to get, I guess, to that best result of finding that 1 or 2 guys who can separate?
Well, you got to put them in competitive situations. And one of the things I said to them is every detail, and I said it this morning to them, every single detail matters. When we're sitting in a meeting and I ask the question, they all have these laser pointers. And I ask the question, well, how do you answer the question? Do you answer definitively? Are you right? Are you wrong? That's a rep. When we go out on the practice field and we run a drill. Did you do it right? Did you do it as hard as we want you to do it? You know, and our adage of 4 to 6, A to B, that's a drill. So, you know, when the talent's equated and there's a lot of talent in our room, the small things are gonna tip the scales, if you will. And when opportunities exist where you got to make a play, maybe it's a simple swing route. Did you catch it, or did you not? You know, were you able to sustain a block on blitz pickup, or were you not? So all these little things are going to matter because the talent is equated in a lot of ways, and the guys that are consistently great over the course of time, and that's how they're going to separate themselves.
Next up, Dave Biddle, 24/7 Sports. Dave?
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
I imagine this must be extremely exciting for you personally. I mean, I know you guys are working your butts off, but you put this running back room together through your recruiting. What's been going through your mind as you finally get a chance to see all 6 of them out there together practicing?
It's great. I mean, one, just to have the sheer numbers, right? The sheer numbers of guys, and so it's fun, and they're fun kids. That's the biggest thing. It's a joy to come to work because I would speak for our whole locker room for the most part, but I will just talk about my room. That there's not a whole lot of foolishness going on in my room with academics and for issues academically or social issues. Knock on wood. I just don't. These kids, they're fun-loving guys. They've got a great demeanor about them. You know, they come to work every day. You ask them, hey, be here at this time, be ready to go. They are. They do what you ask them to do when you ask them to do it. There's not a lot of guys pouting and you know, frowning and rolling their eyes when you say something to them. They want to be coached. So this is a fun group to be around. And you know, so I'm blessed with this type of kids that are in that room. I really am, and I don't say that, you know, tongue in cheek. I mean that they are a phenomenal group of kids to be around, and if their families were to be able to sit back and watch the whole dynamics of it, well, they'd be proud of their kids, just the way they represent not just Ohio State football, but how they represent their family names, and that's a big deal to, you know, who they are and what their own personal brands are. And so again, they're a fun group to be around, man.
Just a quick follow-up. You talked about the camaraderie with the running backs, and that's something that's not just unique to this group. It's kind of gone back through some of your other running back rooms. Do you think that's unique to Ohio State? You played the position. I mean, you guys are all battling for the same job, but you think that's a unique thing at Ohio State where the running backs all kind of get along, or do you think that's more of a trend across college football?
Well, I can't speak for other teams, that, you know, so I won't even try. I know for us that it's not unique for us because that's who we've always been. And I think during the recruitment process that happens. You know, I'll use Evan and Trey as an example. Evan committed first, and he helped recruit Trey. Those guys helped recruit one another, and they were talking all the time. So those guys, so all of a sudden when you thrust them into a room together, they're already friends. They already know each other, and they're comfortable with one another. And I think they all understand that in order for one to have success, they better hope that their buddies behind them can have success too, because you need more than one guy that can play and to help the team succeed. And they've taken to that, but that's become the culture of I do believe not just the culture of Ohio State running backs, but the culture of our entire locker room. And I think that's cultivated from the top down, starting with our head coach. But when we recruit guys, we want to get them together. We want them to know each other, so we're not pitting one against the other. You know, I had one school, and I won't say what school it was, but there was one school that tried to pit those two against each other and say, well, you know, they're trying to do this and they're trying to do that. Well, had that school done any amount of research, they'd have found out that those kids knew better, because they were intricately involved in the recruitment of the other guy. And so that's how we've done. I'm not saying that's the way to do it. That's how we've done it. And I've done it in our room, and it's been successful for us. And hopefully we'll continue as such.
Thank you, Tony.
Folks, we have time for just a couple more. We'll go next up with Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Hey, Tony. I want to take away some of your normal things. You don't have a crystal ball. We know you've never had, 6 guys quite like this, open competition, all that. But how much time did you spend thinking about the way you might structure practice if it's open for all 6? Is it different from other position battles that you've had? Like this spring, it has to have been a little bit different for you mentally, maybe, to prepare for it.
Yeah, one of the things I've talked to them all about this, that there'll be some days that some guys are going to get more reps than others, and they need to understand that. But I think if you're up front, again, we talk about conversations and open, transparent conversations and honest conversations. I think as we go through the spring, and these guys will tell you, there are times I'm going to say, listen, today this guy's going to get more reps here, or tomorrow it's going to be this guy, or today it may be you, because there's certain things I have to design to see. And again, it's all about putting people in competitive situations. And so if I know that, for instance, hey, this guy needs a little bit more pass protection, I got to see if he can do it. All right, well, then you're out of this drill and this guy's in this drill, right? And because I've got to check his water on this deal and see how he does. And but it is, I haven't been in a situation where I've had this many guys that we've got to get reps for, to see not only, but say, well, see that he can't do it. Well, maybe I want to see that he can do it, right? And you use the positive side of it. So it's a little unique, it's a little unique since previous years, but it's also a fun challenge. I think it's for me as a coach, as to make sure that every single day that I come in here into this building, I've got to be prepared and have a very clear, concise plan of exactly how I want to attack this day, so that nothing gets lost in the shuffle. We don't have time for it to so, well, let's just see what happens. We can't do that. And so I've got to make sure that every single day I walk in here, me and Riley Jefferson, who's working directly with me, that we have a real clear, concise plan of how we want to attack it.
Thanks, man.
And something is, but I haven't been to Wyoming in a while. Have you?
Well, come on, let's go. I'll show you around.
No, that's all right. I'm good. I don't need to go there.
Next up, we'll go with Dan Hope, 11 Warriors. Dan?
Hey, Tony, there's been some speculation about, maybe Steel Chambers could end up at linebacker at some point. Just wondering, is that something you guys are looking at all?
I've heard that speculation. I'm not sure where it came from. It didn't come out of this office. But no, I haven't. That's not something that I've had any conversations with his family, or with Coach Day. Steel Chambers is focused on being the best running back that he can be, and I'm focused on helping him become that, the best that he can be here, and we'll go from there.
Where is he at right now? How are you pleased with his development at this point?
Really good. He's had, again, now we're in shorts, mind you. We're just in shorts, but he's looked really good. The biggest thing I want Steele to do is to exude confidence in, his own self-confidence. And Steele's a perfectionist by nature. And there are times that he can get down on himself if something doesn't go just as he planned, exactly the way that he concocted the plan in his own mind. And, one of the things I can help him do is continually remind him that, hey, there's a little bump in the road here. We're good. Don't get flustered. Don't let one play affect the next. Meaning, if you didn't do something right on this play, don't let it affect the next play and the next play. Or, a lot of times he does something right and he goes, oh, that wasn't good enough. Like, hey, man, champion what you've done, and where you've been. And, but he's getting better at that. So I'm anxious to see, but he's had a good off season.
Thanks, Tony.
Next up, Jeremy Birmingham, Letterman Row. Jeremy.
Hey, Tony, bear with me here. It might take me a minute to get there, but for most of us on the outside looking in, we see the 3 tiers of the room, right? There's Master, who's the presumptive starter. There's Mayan and Marcus and Steele in the middle. And then there's the young guys with the true freshmen that maybe have, just getting started. Which of those 3 groups, if I'm accurate, has the most pressure this spring? Like, who do you need to see the most from this spring?
Wow, that's a loaded question, right? I mean, I guess I haven't thought of it that way. And to directly answer your question, I haven't thought of it that way. I think that every one of them has things that they need to most certainly improve on. Every one of them has certain things that I need to see from them. To say which group has the most pressure, I can't answer that. I mean, that's hard. That Jimmy, with all due respect, is a great question, but to say which group has the most pressure, I don't know if I'm prepared to say if one has more pressure than the next. My thing is to see the daily improvement within individually and then collectively as a unit, the improvement as we move forward, because this thing's going to get ramped up here starting tomorrow, right? The pads come on, so this thing's going to get ramped up rapidly, and we just want to see the guys up and compete and just get better. And they all know what they need to get better at. So it's not like it's some vague thing. Well, get better. What's that mean? That's a vague term where every single guy knows I've got to get better at this. And I got to get better at this. And I know that because we've had those discussions with them as well. So I've got to make sure that we're with that I'm putting them in situations that's going to show their development in that way. But to say which group has more pressure, I don't know if I'm prepared to say that. All with all due respect.
Totally understand. That's why I wanted to ask you a difficult question, so I did.
And you did.
All right, final 2 questions. Next up, Patrick Murphy, 24/7 Sports. Patrick.
Hey, Tony. Going back to Steve's question about Master, I know an Achilles injury is not an easy thing to come back from.
Right.
And, obviously he was able to get back, and I assume having some extra time helped that. But there's been guys in the past, whether it be any position, any sport, that maybe come back and then they're still better, a year later or so, as they continue to kind of heal and get comfortable with that. Are you seeing any of that from him? Is he starting to look maybe the player he was before he got hurt last spring? Or do you think he was 100% heading into fall camp or to fall last year?
Well, I don't know if he was 100% at the beginning. I think he was, I don't know. You'd have to ask him if he was 100%, right? I thought that he was back by the end of the season. I most certainly thought he was back, and he's perfectly back now. But to come off that injury the way he did, a lot of guys couldn't pull that off. Now, I do think that he's kind of a genetic freak in some regards, in a good way, but he's also an unbelievable worker as far as his commitment to taking care of his body, his commitment to doing things the right way, his commitment to being regimented and having a routine. He's unbelievable that way. And so to say that it shocked you that he got back the way he did, no, because that's just how that kid is built. But I think he's back.
And final question today for Coach Alford. We'll go with Tim May from the Tim May podcast. Tim.
Here we go, Tim. God bless you.
I know, man. I was holding my breath there, man. I was deep sea diving. Hey, Tony, number one, you were a bell cow at one point in your career. And I wanted to ask you how much that helped your confidence knowing you were the guy, from day to day. And then past that, I know you're paying attention to the big picture. What is your sense of the talent that is at the quarterback position for you guys going into this spring? From a depth standpoint, what's impressed you about those guys?
Yeah, well, to your first question to me about being a bell cow, we could go a lot of different directions with that question. The game's obviously different, right?
Yeah.
That's a different game, and Earl Bruce run football teams and offenses are vastly different than what we're doing now. But I guess I look back and say that it was good for me because I knew that no matter what happened, I was going to be fine, other than putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
But I knew that, hey, I'm fine here. Just because it's a 2-yard carry, a 3-yard carry doesn't mean I'm getting yanked out. And guess what? I'm going back in the next series too. And it took its toll, on your body a little bit. But it is what it is. They're competitive guys, so you like that. But I think that being able to get into that routine was good. And just for the mental makeup of it was good. So I understand that. As a player, I do completely understand that and respect that. So. And then to your second question, just about the talent in the room, in the quarterback room, extremely talented guys. You know, they all have big arms and can throw it, and they're great kids. I know they don't have a lot. They're not steeped with experience, but what I have seen from outside the room watching them is they're all highly competitive guys. Again, very much like my room. They seem really good together, and they help one another out. Corey does a great job in there. Now, we brought Todd Fitch, who I worked with previous years at Iowa State. I've known him back to my college days. And when he was at Colorado State, I was just getting done playing there at Colorado State when he took the job, and helped recruit my late brother. So I've known Todd a long time. Phenomenal coach with great knowledge. And but I think it's a great room. From the outside looking in, I think it's a great room, and all those guys have some innate leadership qualities, and as they're continuing to get better, like the rest of our football team is.
It's the toughest thing to do to teach your guys to have patience. You understand what I mean? From a read on a play to like kind of waiting your turn. Is that the toughest thing?
Absolutely, because it's if you ask anybody who really knows me intimately, patience is not one of my it's not one of my better traits. That's putting it mildly. Just ask my children, but and ask my players. I'm not a real patient person, and so you don't say, "Hey, be patient. Wait your turn for what?" I'm not trying to wait my turn for what.
Yeah.
Come take a job. J.K. Dobbins. Don't ask him if he was patient.
Yeah.
They're not patient. They're not patient by nature. And so I'm not trying to instill. I don't want them to be patient. Absolutely not. Come take a job. Show me, show the staff that we have to play you. That I don't have a choice but to play you because you are by far the best guy we got. Show me. Don't tell me, show me. And so, yeah, we're not teaching patience. Now, the same understanding, if you're not playing, they don't want you to go off the rails either and throw some tantrums and go off the rails that way either, and just continue to work and get better. But yeah, but again, those are highly competitive guys, and so when you recruit them, you know that going in, that okay, we got to temper that, and that's part of the dynamics of the room and dealing with the dynamics of the room, but knowing the people that are in your room.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, guys. You guys have a great afternoon.
You too, man.